No, you're live.
All right. All right, I want to welcome everyone to April 17th meeting of the Plastow Planning Board. Call this meeting to order at 6:35. Charlene, could you do the roll call, please?
Yep. Richard Anthony.
Present?
Karen Robinson is excused.
Excused, yes.
Laura Millette.
Here.
Tim Moore.
Here.
Arnold Verdi is excused.
He's excused.
Dan Kane.
Here.
Bill Coy.
Here.
Victoria Peters.
Here.
All right. For purposes of this meeting, I'm going to appoint Tim Moore and Dan Kane as voting members. All right, next on the agenda, take a minute, review the minutes from April 3rd.
Make a motion to accept the minutes?
Second it. All in favor?
I'm sorry, Bill Coy motion. Who was the second?
Richard Anthony. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Great, 5-0-0. All right, we have a public hearing, PB 2403, continued from March 20, 2024. The completeness of an application from Albert Couillard for a subdivision application. This application proposes a 3-lot subdivision of the parcel at 93 Forest Street, tax map 66, lot 17, in both the LDR and ICR zoning district. Parcel A is proposed to have plus or minus 38.49 acres with a 271.92 foot frontage on Newton Road. Parcel B is proposed to have a plus or minus 77.72 acre with a 388 frontage on Forest Street, and the remaining lot is proposed to have a plus or minus 141.73 acres with 202.24 foot frontage on Forest Street. The property of owner of record is Haverhill Golf Country Club. If the application is found to be complete, the planning board may immediately conduct the public hearing. All right. Do I have a motion to accept the application is complete?
Yep, I move to accept the application for a three-lot subdivision of the parcel known as 93 Forest Street as detailed in the legal notice for the planning board application 24-03 as complete.
Second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain. All right, 5-0-0. All right, with that, welcome and
Good evening.
good evening.
So it's, I mean, just hit on all cylinders, it's all the acreage that surrounds my name's Al Couillard. It's all the acreage that surrounds the country club. This is the plan that we proposed last time you were here, and now we've completed our application. And we're here to ask the board to approve this plan.
And this one's just for the 3-lot subdivision, right? And that's the one coming in off of Forest Street?
There's frontage on Forest Street for the Haverhill Country Club and for parcel B, and there's also frontage on Newton Road for parcel A.
But we're talking parcel B here on this one, right? No?
Divide all three.
We're dividing
All 3. Gotcha. Okay, just want to make sure we're good.
Yeah.
So
That's-
that's considered the 3 lots, is those 3 that are up there?
That's correct.
That's correct.
Okay, because I had thought the property coming off of Forest, where it says parcel B, I thought that's where the 3 lots were going, but you're considering the whole thing is the 3 lots?
It's one parcel of land now, which is the Haverhill
Country
Country
Club.
Club. And then it's being divided into 3 parcels so that Al is going to acquire parcel A and parcel B.
Okay,
Parcel A will, later on this evening, there's a 9-lot subdivision proposed there. Nothing proposed on parcel B at present, and the golf course property is just their property. it has to have frontage in Plastow because the land's in Plastow. So it was divided this way, so each of these parcels would have proper frontage and meet zoning regulations.
Okay.
Just for the record, could you state your name?
Philip Christensen,
Very, very good.
engineer for Al. And there's nothing proposed on this to be constructed at this time. It's just strictly a division of land.
Okay. Is there anything you want to go into conceptually about what it is, or just talk about the fact that we're just doing division of
So we'll deal
land
with this one
here?
now.
Just conceptually, it's just,
Three lot.
land is being acquired by Al, as I said, parcels A and B.
Consider the.
Parcel A will have an 9-lot subdivision, and parcel B, we haven't really worked on it in detail yet. As you remember, we were in here a couple months back and we talked about doing a planned residential development there, but we don't have anything finalized on that yet at all. So this is just the first step in dividing these properties out so that they could be acquired and we were able to do, or if this is approved tonight, then you'll also look at the 9-lot subdivision that we have for parcel A.
Okay. Now, with respect to the conceptual that you had, I know there might have been some concern, and I'm just sort of refreshing my memory here about where there would be. I mean, you have Abbey Road, and you have Forest Street. Is there any type of could you just go maybe a little into detail about egress from these parcels? I mean, we're not thinking about going through Abbey Road or some other forest. Okay. Right.
So the frontage for parcel B will be on Forest Street, and the frontage for parcel A will be on Newton Road. There's no other options.
And you won't be going through Autumn Circle?
No.
Okay.
The parcel B does have frontage on Autumn Circle. We're not proposing to use that.
Okay. Anyone on the board have any specific questions with respect to the subdivision, or?
I think the only
Of the
thing with this
parcel?
one, you're just kind of separating it into the 3 different lots, right? That's it, and then the next one is the nitty-gritty one.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. If there's nothing specific, then, is there any, I'll ask anyone in the, what?
We just have to make sure. So we haven't accepted the 9-lot subdivision yet, and we haven't opened up that public hearing. So
No.
if we're going to take questions, it's just about the 3. So I don't know if you guys want to wait just to lump it all in, and then we could accept the 9-lot as well as the 3 and talk about both together at the same time.
Is everyone here for the 9-lot subdivision? Okay. If you're gonna say, if you have a question or a comment, please speak into that microphone over there.
Okay, great. Bob Radford, 2 Country Club Lane, Blastow. I have a question. So are we presented here with 3 separate lots, 1 whole lot with 3 subdivisions? And how does the 9-lot fit in? Isn't the 9-lot the one on the right?
9-lot is parcel A,
Outlined in blue.
outlined in blue on that plan.
Right, which is on the right side.
Yep.
So are you saying that all 3 lots,
Well, one lot, the middle lot is just going to remain the country club, Hayward Country Club. It's their golf course is just going to remain the same. That's
right, so we were just talking about access. So it's access for all 3 of those lots presented on that chart through Forest, Newton Road? Or is it, or are they gonna have separate access?
They'll have access through the frontage. So the one outlined in blue has frontage on Newton Road, so it'll be access from Newton Road. And the parcel B has frontage on Forest Street. It will be accessed through Forest Street when we get to that design. And the remaining parcel, the golf course, obviously they have access from Haverhill to their land. I wouldn't see any need for them to go out to Forest Street.
And just specifically, we're talking about the three lot parcel here. If the conversation is going to talk about the 9, then, when we get to that, then we should probably do that, just to, yeah, let's stay tuned.
So which lot are we currently talking about then?
All 3.
We're talking about what they want to do is take this one parcel and split it into 3. That's what this discussion is about now. Nothing going into any of them yet or any of that.
And the 9 lot is a subset of this part.
Correct, that'll be the next public hearing right after this.
I would just like to make sure that we have all questions and comments on the record. So could we prevent the side conversation, please?
Yeah, because it's,
Because if they have a good question over there, then I'd like everyone to
Thank you.
hear it.
Can you please come up to the microphone, state your name and your address, please?
Property was 6 Red Oak Drive. So this red lot, right, this is the first that I'm seeing it, but I don't think it was in the documentation. What is the planned usage for this lot? Is this eventually going to be another neighborhood, or is it just going to be country club, owned by country club, state country club?
Owned by the Hayward Country Club is going to stay.
Okay. So this, and I think this is getting back to your question. So this blue parcel, parcel A, that parcel is going to eventually contain those 9 lot subdivisions.
And that's going to be the next public hearing that we're having.
Okay, right. But that's not going to creep into this red area, right?
I'm not,
Okay.
the Hayward Country Club's going to own it, not me.
Okay. Okay.
Aaron Chilton, One Country Club Lane. I just have a question with the 3 separate divisions. Is there, with that very small strip there on the country club, and especially with the connection, is there any plan to connect a roadway through anywhere within these 3 lots?
A through street?
Is there going to be any connection with a road, parcel A, parcel B, or the country club property? If you, is there any roadway to connect the 3,
No.
or any connection to any of the other lots?
No, we're not proposing on the 9 lot subdivision will be off Newton Road. That's it. And the country club will not access through that.
Thank you.
Any other comments from the public with respect to this particular public hearing on the subdivision of these 3 lots here?
Mr. Kuya, do you have?
Can you,
intentions on-
excuse me, could
My
you,
name's Scott Hebert,
and your address, sir?
7 Country Club Lane. Do you have any intentions on acquiring the Haverhill Country Club?
I wish. No. Country Club's not for sale. Ask that gentleman behind you. That's the president of the Hayward Country Club.
All right.
You want to sell it to me, Steve? No.
Any other comments from the public?
This is about, there was 6 Red Oak Drive. On parcel A, what percentage of that parcel is designated wetlands?
Yeah, I'm just have to think about it. We have it on a set of plans. Probably no more than 10%, but
Talking about that next. They're flagged and we're on a plan here.
Okay.
That's mostly where the course is, right?
There's a couple of little sparse.
I mean, there's stream runs through there and there's wetlands through there.
Yeah.
Some isolated wetlands in that they're not connected to anything, but they're still wetlands.
To this point, I mean, we did receive an email with respect to this particular public hearing, so I think it is relevant and it is germane just since the subject of wetlands did come up. So my intent is to read it into the record, and if, whether or not, I think your response pretty much covered it, but, it is a concern. So this email is going to be from Alicia Spooner, and she's a resident of Country Club Lane. As a resident of Country Club Lane, I do not want this subdivision to go forward. The land is not suitable to build as it has wetlands and is habitat to owls and other wildlife. I'm also concerned about the drainage and the related infrastructure of a waterway that runs past Country Club Lane. It seems like you're trying to squeeze a development between two streets that is not sufficient for the building and can cause issues for surrounding neighborhoods. Let our natural land be land and not filled with more housing, especially when the land is often soggy and wet. My vote is not for the development to go forward, as it may be, as is many of my neighbors. I recommend you walk the area and see the beauty of the animals and the way the land is not sufficient for houses. She goes on to say, a study of UNH in February 2023 stated land conservation saves New Hampshire communities money through avoided costs on expensive infrastructure and other municipal services required by residential property owners such as schools, police, fire protection. Please focus on other areas of town that need help, not on disturbing our natural land and putting a strain on the community with already high taxes. We already don't pay our teachers enough. Our classes are overcrowded. Our taxes are high despite being a robust business section. Why would we strain our town, our land? Overdevelopment impacts the Earth's environment as it reduces wilderness and threatens biodiversity. Protect our Earth, protect our future generations. Thank you, Alyssa Spooner Gomez, resident of Country Club Lane, New Hampshire. But I think this is referencing Area A, and you're saying that there's no, that's Haverhill Country Club.
That correspondence is more appropriate for the subdivision, the next public hearing.
It references this particular one, so specifically, so I just read it into the record and we can just accept. Actually, do I have a motion to accept this email to be put into the record?
I'll make a motion to put in, I'm sorry, what was her name again?
Alyssa Spooner.
I mean, they sent us an email.
Alyssa Spooner
It's public record, public knowledge, so
Yeah.
there's no reason not
Oh,
to.
okay.
So it's already there.
All right.
If I don't have to do it? Okay.
No, but, okay. All right. Where do we go from here, actually? All right. Are there any particular waivers that you're looking for on
Not on
this
this.
particular one?
It's the next one.
So is there
It's the
there
next
anything
one.
else that we need to do then? And
I think
do we
this is
just close the hearing?
Yes, basically, we're just accepting,
All right.
we're moving into three separate parts, that's all we're doing.
All right.
Doesn't mean anything more than that.
All right, so if nothing else, then close the public hearing on PB 2403 at 7:53.
Don't be stealing my life away.
What's that?
6:53.
6:53.
6:53, sorry. All right, so public hearing PB 2404, continued from March 20, 2024. The completeness of an application from,
So, Richard, do we want to make a motion to accept this one? The third, and then we close it?
which one is that, number 3?
2403. 2403.
Yep.
I thought we
That was in the top of page 6 in the staff report.
Page 6, because that's all we're doing is just accepting these three, and that's it, nothing else. Doesn't mean anything more than that.
So this is the motion to,
Yeah.
have the conditional approval, right?
Right, well, this one here is, well, I'll make the motion, then we can discuss it. I move to approve the three-lot subdivision of the property known as 93 Forest Street, tax map 66, lot 17, and is described in the legal notice for the planning board matter number 24-03 with the following conditions.
I have that.
The final plan submitted for recording shall have all professional stamps affixed. All parcels owner information shall be updated on the plan per the recommendations in the Keach Nordstrom Associates Review Report dated April 12th, 2024. Note added to the plan confirming compliance with section 235-18.RR, subsection 235-18.SS, and that there are no structures within 100 feet of the subject premises or any structures that are located be added to the plan. Monumentation shall be set and certifications by a New Hampshire licensed land surveyor submitted to the planning department. All conditions shall be met and recording materials submitted to the planning department within 60 days of this conditional approval.
I second the motion. All in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstained? So 500.
Was it 5?
5, yes.
Yep.
So that just means that they can, the 3 lots, nothing more than that.
All right.
Yeah.
So at this point.
And if you do develop parcel B, you have to come back before us again, right?
That's
Yeah,
correct.
okay,
You're going to open up the other one?
okay.
Go. All right. PB 2404, continued from March 2024. The completeness of an application from Albert Couillard for a residential subdivision application. The plan proposes a 9-lot residential standard subdivision of a parcel known as Parcel A, created by the subdivision of parcel at 93 Forest Street, PB 24C, PB 2403. The application proposes 9 separate residential lots, each supported by its own on-site well and septic with frontage on a new 1,792-foot roadway that will access from Newton Road, Route 108. The plan also proposes drainage and related infrastructure. The property owner of record is Havel Golf and Country Club. If the application is found to be complete, the planning board may immediately conduct a public hearing.
I'll make a motion to accept the application for a 9-lot subdivision for resultant so-called Parcel A from the 3-lot subdivision in Planning Board application 24-03, and as detailed in the legal notice for the Planning Board application 24-04 as complete.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained? 500. Right.
Okay.
This one,
Do you have a thumb drive with the plans on it?
It's actually on there. If you click the top, it's just a different tab. If you need help, let me know.
Yeah, I think I'll need help getting to that. These are both,
the 2 plans are uploaded with the 3 lot.
they both say 3 lots. That's the 3 lot. You scroll down and see if there's.
It has to be one of these.
That's conceptual. That's a conceptual plan. Havel Country Club. Yeah,
All these are from Jay.
whoever, the gentleman took it with him. What's that?
I think that.
We
Thumb
didn't-
drive is on.
What it doesn't.
Move this out of the way.
Bolted down. You can't.
Oh. Should we close it? Oh, we can't even close it. Can we?
Is that your finger?
One sheet with all the lots
Maybe.
on it that you gave to D.
This is Newton Road Estates
Yeah, that's it.
plan. This is my page.
Yeah.
Full screen. And then to change, you can use the arrows. Just give it a second.
Okay.
It's a big document.
Let me give the update, and then you can do the technical stuff.
Sure.
Okay, so we did receive from the class house peer review engineer a whole bunch of comments, 9 pages of comments on the plan. We don't have an issue with any of them. We're just waiting for any potential comments the board might have tonight, and then we will incorporate K&A's comments into a revised plan with their comments come up tonight with the board. And back to the next meeting on the 15th, with the county plan, with everybody's revisions on it. And any technical questions, you know, you can fill.
Very good. Okay, just get into the plan in general. This first section, what we're proposing to do, as we mentioned before, is to construct a road off Newton Road, access the property. It's approximately 1,800 feet long. So what you see here is the roadway, the right-of-way of the roadway, plus the lot lines for the proposed lots. You'll also see the wetlands on there and wetlands offsets. So there's, see that one large isolated wetland down towards the bottom left-hand corner of the property. There's a wetland up in the top, the northern section of the property over there. And those are taken into account. So one of the things about your zoning is it's a 110,000 square foot zoning district, but that cannot include wetland. So all of what we've calculated for each of these lots is 110,000 square feet or more of land, of upland land area. So the lots themselves are larger than that because the wetlands take up more land, obviously. The next one, that's the end of the subdivision roadway. And again, you can see some wetlands on there, they're outlined. And there's also Snow's Brook runs down through that area, down past the end of the cul-de-sac. Again, this is just the roadway and the lot, division of the lots there. Just a different view. These are the lots that abut northerly edge of the property. Again, there's wetlands shown, the roadway is shown, lots, the area of each lot is shown on there. Frontages, whatnot. Just another piece of land. That's the very end of the beyond the cul-de-sac. It's not proposed to be developed. Again, there's wetlands there. A stream runs through that area as well. This is just the existing conditions divided up into 3 sheets. It just shows the topography without the other lines on it, just so you have it's a little bit easier to read. You can see the roadway elevations. You can see the wetland flag numbers on there. And we have 3 sheets like that. Again, it's just, so if you're curious about drainage patterns under existing conditions, where the hills are, where the water flows, these sheets would help understand that. Now, this is a development plan. You come in the roadway, well, first, on the way in, there's a drainage swale in the street. So What we have to do to cross that is put a pipe under the road. And to make that work, we're putting a catch basin in the swale, drop inlet, so the water can flow into that, flow through a pipe under our proposed road, and discharge in the swale. We have filed a driveway permit with the state. Haven't received any comments on it yet, but that's part of this process as well. And then on the road, and you have a comment from the highway superintendent, that he would like a 24-foot wide paved road centered in the right-of-way. The design shown here is what's in your standard detail, which is 22 feet of pavement plus a 5-foot shoulder on the left paved, and then also a 1-foot paving strip beyond the 22 feet on the right. So we will follow the highway superintendent's recommendation in our revision and just make it a 24-foot wide road centered within the right-of-way. What this plan here and another one that follows shows is the grading that has to be done for the roadway and the construction of the stormwater areas so that we don't cause flooding downstream to the abutters that live on Country Club. So you'll see there's a DP1, DP2, and DP3 on the bottom right-hand side. They're just design points. So from the existing conditions, we look at where the water flows to those 3 areas there. And what we did on the proposed conditions is be sure that the peak flow rates at those points after the project is built do not exceed the peak flow rates under existing conditions. So just, well, you'll see later the roadway profile, but as we go into the subdivision, the road is going uphill. There's swales on either side of the road, so the water drains off from the crown of the road into the swales and drains down into catch basins. And on the first section of the road, it gets to that, there's a pond, a detention pond there, right near DP1. It also has a forebay in it for sediment to be removed. I don't know why that went off.
You just gotta poke it every once in a
Wasn't
while.
moving it enough.
Just goes to sleep.
Same with at DP2, the road design point 2, you'll see the water, there's a pipe and a detention pond there. And that has to capture the water from the northerly side of the site, which presently flows unobstructed by the road. So we have to collect that water, continue it down towards design point 2. And again, there's water goes in the swales as the road goes downhill. There's a set of swales there and it directs the water to catch basins. The swales also provide some cleaning for the stormwater. So there's a set of drainage calculations that goes with this as well that references design points 1, 2, and 3, all the way through design point 8, which is on the other side of the subdivision. You'll also see house locations shown on there. And there's also boxes which represent where the septic systems would go. If you look down at, let's see if I get a better shot of that. Yeah, looking on the right side of this is a continuation of the road, but on the right side, you'll see a large detention pond. That's also a infiltration basin. One of the regulations, the stormwater management in the state, besides restricting the peak flow rates, you have to infiltrate water back into the ground. That particular area there is quite pervious, fast, rapid infiltration rates. So that was chosen to locate that pond. And what we've done is provide calculations to show that the infiltration we're putting back in is equivalent to or exceeds what's required by the state. And I've provided some on this sheet as well. There's a construction sequence on the left-hand side. Also sizing of the the 4 bays. That's kind of important, again, for stormwater management. They want to be sure that sediment's removed from any drainage water, so that there's a certain sizing criteria they have, and you have to provide that in the design. This is a roadway profile for the road. On the left, it starts at Newton Road. See, it goes uphill at, I think it says 5%. I can't read that right now. 5.8%, gets to the high point at station approximately 400, and it goes downhill again to a low point, back uphill, and then down again. Pretty much try to follow the existing grade, but obviously you can't follow it closely or you couldn't meet the slope requirements of the regulation. So try to minimize cuts and fills as much as possible, try to balance it out in the design. What I've shown there, you can see on it, when you have the plans in front of you, you can see the length of the vertical curves, where they start, where they stop, the percentage of grades on the road. And that continues on to the next sheet, which is the end of the cul-de-sac. This is cross sections at each 50 feet and at points of curvature in the roadway. So that we have to show the existing grade, which generally, if you look at, say, the fourth one down on the left side up there on the screen, that the higher line is the existing grade, and the lower line, the lower figure is really the road and all the excavation down to the road subgrade. So it's a road surface plus the subgrade is shown in cross section there, as how it compares to the existing grade at those points. And that's done for the whole road, as I said, of every 50 feet. Again, it's a requirement. This sheet is to separate out the drainage, so it's a little easier for the reviewers to see, so it's not as cluttered as on the site plan where there's all the contours shown. So again, there's detailed information here on invert elevations of the pipes, pipe sizes, specifically catch basins are labeled 1, 2, 3, so on. Manholes have labels, so it's easy to follow. And there's also some detail on this sheet of forebay and swales, how there's to be constructed. Again, that's just a continuation of that drainage information. As I said, it's the same as on the site plans, but it's broken out without all of that background clutter to make it easier to read. Detail sheets on construction entrance. The roadway cross-section is shown there at the top of the page. As I said, the highway superintendent wants a different cross-section than what's shown here, and we'll do what he requests. Actually, the cross-section is the same, it's just the paving width is different. You see there's a number of details on there. Oh, one of the things we propose to do is put in a cistern for fire protection. That's shown on the site plan, which we showed earlier. This is just details of the cistern. This is approximately 30,000 gallons. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 separate concrete chambers connected, pipe connected, so the fire department can hook up to it. And that's, as I understand, being reviewed by the fire chief. Additional details on sedimentation control, also head wall sizing, some catch basin protection during the construction. And finally, this last sheet was soil testing that was done on site. Shows the location of the test pits and also the test pit results. That's a kind of a quick summary of the plans. Oh, just, give you some information on that drainage. No. With respect to Country Club Lane properties, if you look up there, you'll see DP1, DP2, and DP3. Design point 1 just goes to Newton Road, but 2 and 3 are just in the backyards of folks that live on Country Club Lane. And if we go ahead, you should see design point 4 down there on the right-hand side of that drawing. So you have DP 1 through 3 and design point 4 as well, all flow down to Country Club. And what we have is, what I did was to do the stormwater design, we used the HydroCAD program and used storm data from NOAA 14, Atlas 14 for this area. Was the 2, 10, 25, and 100-year storm. Storm analysis is funny. Sometimes you can control the 100-year, but your big problem is the 2-year storm. Because if you have a pipe, sometimes for a 100-year storm, you need a big pipe. And then all of a sudden, the pipe's too big and a 2-year storm will just blow through it. So you have to kind of balance and work a number of things differently to get all the storms to work. But anyway, at design point 1, for the 2-year storm, we have 2.51 cubic feet per second existing flow rate. And proposed is 2.40. So there's a decrease of 11 hundredths. For the 10-year storm, it's 4.02 versus 3.45 under proposed, 496 under existing for the 25-year, and 401 for the 25-year under proposed, 6.41 cubic feet per second for the 100-year existing, and 4.62 for the 100-year proposed, design point 1. Again, that's really flowing onto, it's down to Newton Road, and it would go into drainage swale at that point. Now, design point 2 is particular to the folks that are here. It's in their backyard. For the 2-year storm, the existing flow at design point 2 is 3.38 cubic feet per second. And for proposed conditions, it's 2.62 cubic feet a second. So substantial reduction. For design, for the 10-year storm, at design point 2, the flow is 5.41 cubic feet per second. Proposed conditions is 4.02. For the 25-year storm, it's 6.67 versus 4.74 for proposed conditions. And for the 100-year, at design point 2, it's 8.63 cubic feet per second under existing conditions versus 5.48 cubic feet per second under proposed. Some of the factors that affect this are, when you do the design, you're looking at what are the existing conditions and what are the existing soil types. And then under proposed conditions, you're going to get rid of trees, you're going to have lawn. Lawn has more runoff. The pavement has more runoff. Rooftops have more runoff. But what happens with design point 2 is there's some flow gets intercepted by the roadway and then gets to the design point later. So it reduces the flow rate. Also, the detention pond helps to reduce the flow rate. Then at design point 3, we have, for the 2-year storm, existing 3.2 cubic feet per second, and proposed is 3.18, very close to being the same. At 10-year storm is 5.11 cubic feet per second, and then for the 10-year storm proposed, it's 4.52. So again, you can see that what's happened on the 2-year storm, it's very close, but now you start to get bigger reductions with the bigger storms. At design point 3, again, for the 25-year storm, existing is 6.50 and proposed is 5.21. For the 100-year storm, existing is 8.15 and proposed is 6.16. And finally, at design point 4, which is down at the very end of that, of the property we're developing, but in the backyard of folks at Country Club Lane, existing is 14.6, 2-year storm, existing conditions, and it's 8.40 under proposed conditions, a substantial reduction. And that's primarily because of that large detention pond there. As I mentioned before, there's a lot of infiltration takes place. So rather than the water going over the surface, some of it's going in the ground, some of it's being detained in the pond. For the 10-year storm, it's 23.32 cubic feet per second under existing conditions, and it's 17.21 under proposed. For the 25-year storm, for design point 4, it's 28.8 cubic feet per second under existing conditions and 21.40 under proposed conditions. And finally, for the 100-year storm, it's 37.28 cubic feet per second under existing conditions and 31.29 under proposed. So the substantial reductions in peak flow rates primarily due to the detention ponds and somewhat to do with the change in pattern and how long it takes the water to get to the end, to the design point. This information, all of this was contained in a drainage report that was submitted to the board. I don't know if you folks got a copy of that, but we did give it to Dee. So we can make additional copies of that if you want, but it's all contained in the drainage report, which is, we gave it to the review engineer as well. But I think it was 250 pages of calculation, so you might not want to look through that.
We'll be reviewing that later.
That's just a quick summary of what the plans show.
Anyone on the board have any particular questions?
I have a couple. The Keach report mentioned there was some encroachment in wetlands at the end of the cul-de-sac. And
Yes.
He thought you might be able to move the cul-de-sac to eliminate that. What's the status of that?
It's, as you can see on the plan, it's just the issue of the frontage for that lot versus the area. There's quite a balance between moving that cul-de-sac around and leaving enough frontage for the other lot as well as enough area. We can look at that, but I think in the end result, we'll probably file for that CUP with conservation for that.
Bruce Kildare, our wetlands consultant, we were hoping to have everything filed for this meeting tonight, but we couldn't make it. But he did inform me that everything will be filed with regarding the wetlands on May 1st.
Okay.
Another few days. So
Yeah, he flagged all the wetlands for the project.
when we come back on
Yeah.
the 15th, everything will be filed.
Yeah, we worked with Bruce before, so.
Could we summarize that process for our attendees?
Would be good.
Tim's the expert.
Yeah, well, I can do that, I guess. When you have buildings or structures that are, that encroach into the wetlands buffer, which is 75 feet, then you need to have some sort of remediation. Either don't have the buildings or structures there, or file an application for a conditional use permit, which is also requires a public hearing, and it's usually done concurrent with this one, so it's not another set of meetings for everyone to attend. Then the information that gets filed with that conditional use permit is also reviewed by the engineer and the Conservation Commission. Conservation Commission is an advisory board, but sends a letter back to the planning board stating whether they support the conditional use permit or not. And then we get comments also from the engineer, as I said. And those, so the whole purpose of that is to make sure that even though there is some infringement, that it's being properly taken care of, so that the wetlands continue to function as they were designed. And there's no obstruction from the building, either pavement or buildings, which I guess in this case is just pavement. So
Yes, and just to clarify, we're not going into wetlands. It's all in
it's just in the
the
buffer.
buffer of the
Yeah.
wetlands, yes. But we will be looking at whether we can move that to lessen the impact, for sure.
Did you have another question, Tim? Was that, I mean,
No, those are the ones that I had.
Now, with the homes, when they go in, have you looked where the wells and the septic systems are going in? And have you also looked where they are with everyone on Country Club Lane,
Well-
just to make sure?
We haven't gone on Country Club Lane. What our intent is that all the septics and the wells will be more than 100 feet from the lot line. So then it complies with your regulation. What is that section? SS, whatever that is in the subdivision
this-
rules, but wells locating on abutting properties do not need to be located in subdivision if septic system replacement areas on the subject site are at least 100 feet from all lot lines. And then septic systems and replacement areas on abutting properties do not need to be located on subdivision plans if said septics and replacement areas are at least 100 feet from the lot line. So that's what we intend, is just,
So you'd be more than 100 feet from the lot line, is what you're saying?
yeah.
And what
The septic system is shown that way. The wells don't show on here, but we will put that on the next set of plans.
Okay.
So there'll be more than 100 feet,
and is
so
there
as not to help go on neighbors' properties.
any type of buffer you're planning on in between the properties?
We had not. Well, no, not,
I mean,
not on Country
I'm
Club.
assuming there are probably trees there. You're not taking down all the trees or any of that, right?
Right. If you look at that drawing up there near that big detention pond on the bottom right, we're not going to take down the trees. Just a second. You will see, though, on lot number 1, there's these 3 detention ponds, and obviously you have to cut the trees down to put the detention ponds in. And they're at the low point in the lot. So that first corner there, there'll be trees cut down. When you get beyond design point 3, trees will be left in there. What we can do is add a limited clearing line on a subdivision plan, if you'd like to see that. Okay.
so a limited what?
Limit of clearing.
Okay.
So it would address that issue so you could clearly see where the trees will be left and where they won't.
Yep, that'd be a nice addition, I think.
Okay.
And then the one other thing, obviously with your swales and your detention ponds, I'm sure there's gonna be some sort of maintenance needed.
Oh, yeah, we have to do, as you know, the notice of intent for the NPDES permit, And that requires a stormwater pollution prevention plan. All of that has to be done and filed. When we file the SWIP with EPA, we'll file it with you as well. Any disturbance over an acre has to be filed with EPA under the
Right, but I'm talking-
NPDES permit.
But in the future, as things get overgrown and everything in those, that'll have to be maintained at some point, right?
Oh, yeah, and that's part of the stormwater pollution prevention plan. That maintenance is included in that. And that would be included, I don't know how you do it, because the easements will be granted to the town. So then I guess the town has to follow up on all of that.
So is the town actually doing the maintenance of these swales and such? I mean, it's
Well, they're not doing anything out there right now.
no, I mean, once, if you're gonna, you're talking about the swale maintenance and things like that.
That would probably fall on the town. We would have to incur that cost.
Like what happened off of Sweet Hill. Those 7 homes. There's a large swale that goes out back towards Partridge. And the town's gonna be taking care of that.
And that's part of the stormwater management plan.
The other things, there's a question raised about streetlights. I believe the police chief said he would like to have a streetlights at the intersection and at a minimum at the end of the cul-de-sac. He didn't mention anything about anywhere in between. When we were in before, we were talking about just having lampposts at each driveway that the homeowners would be responsible for. But we'd like the board's input on that, whether your rules say every 300 feet for streetlights, I believe. There was some talk of changing that. I don't know how you'd prefer to deal with that.
Yeah, I think the discussion was around the idea that instead of having the lights, having homeowners maintain them, that it would be, you would go with what the police chief said. But
So
you were looking for you were looking maybe for some relief though from the
No,
every.
if the police chief wants a street light at the intersection and at the cul-de-sac, that's what he wants, that's what he gets. But if in between you're satisfied with lights at the driveways, that the homeowners pay the expense of running that, and it's on at night, that's fine. It's up to the board.
Something we can discuss at some point, right?
Yeah.
We don't have to resolve that tonight.
Right.
I mean, I'd be in favor of streetlights, just from a liability point of view.
Agreed, and if the police chief wants it, and obviously for plowing and things like that, that'll help Danny out.
I have his email right in front of me too. If you want me to read it. Also, are you doing sidewalks?
We did not propose
No.
sidewalks.
Okay. Well, in my opinion, if there's no sidewalks, then the light concern is not as large. But the police chief, John Santoro, said, I would agree that this development would require streetlights at the intersection of Luke's Way and Newton Road, as well as at the end of the cul-de-sac. That's all that he wanted.
Is this property easily walkable now?
It's walkable, I don't know if I'd call it easily, if you want to put on the boots and get a little dirty, you can walk it. I think, one of the other questions we were gonna ask tonight is, what we usually do is we have the, survey engineer stake a center line. So that anyone on the board that usually can go out and follow the center line, get a good idea of where you are on the plan.
Yeah, because I know myself, plans are great and everything, but I'm a visual person.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
just how I am.
That's good. But, so if it was okay with the board, I'll go ahead and stake that at every 100 feet. And then anybody can walk out there with this plan and figure out where they are on the center line stake.
Does it make sense to do a
Sidewalk?
formal site walk or something?
I don't
like that?
think it hurts. And then that's open to the public
We
as well.
could do it before our next public hearing.
All right.
Like an hour
Do they want
before.
us there?
Yeah, well, just let us know, we'll show up too, so we'll help you find your way around.
And then that way it's open to the public too, so
Yeah.
the public can see it.
Right.
No, I think that makes sense. That, get on site and take a look at things. Now, that would be before, I mean, you said staking stuff
Before
up.
the 15th.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you think maybe like an hour or so
I think
before?
like an hour before. Don't we usually do like an hour before, like 5 o'clock? Or
At
maybe
5
an
o'clock,
hour and a half
usually
before.
kind of do 5 to 6, and that gives you the half hour
Yeah.
to get here.
Yeah, 5 o'clock.
You'd have to take notes for me if it's at 5 o'clock.
Okay.
Right. Anyone else have any questions specific to what was presented here? Dan? Lori? All right, if not, is there any
Wait,
public?
can
What?
did you calculate total disturbance or total impervious area being added?
Total impervious area is all in the drainage calculations. I don't
Okay,
have a
it's in
number.
the drainage.
What was the other one we did? That's right. All the drainage calculations have total impervious.
Okay. And then,
Like a specific number for that? We can provide it. I can put it together.
okay, that'd be great. And then I was wondering if you were going to make any more documentation, especially regarding not house design per se, but there are some pages on here where the position of the houses are visualized, but are those, is that the final plan? Is that definitely where they're going?
That's just for discussion purposes, just to let the board know that we can't, there is room to put a house.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, part of that is so you know there's a house, when you do the drainage calculations, you know it's impervious.
Yes,
And
yeah.
you know what drainage area it's in, so you can decide where the
Mhm.
water's flowing.
Yeah. Well, there's also the parking lot consideration for pavement and the actual house sizes. And
Yeah.
I think everyone would like to know how far away the houses exactly are going to be to abutters. So just visualize that a little bit better if the board wanted to ask for that visualization more specifically.
That would be good to know, because I'm sure all the abutters want to know. how
We could
close
have
something's
a-
gonna be.
Sheet that just has nothing but the lot lines and the houses and distances.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That would help.
that'd be perfect.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's it for me.
I think that's it. All right. Does anyone from the public want to say anything? And if you do, please go up to the microphone, state your name and your address, and speak into the microphone just so it can pick up your.
Anthony Bonfiglio, 6 Red Oak Drive. So I'm here with a bunch of our neighbors from Red Oak Drive, and we have some concerns about the proposal. Specifically, when it comes to the lots abutting Red Oak Drive, I think it's lot 6, lot 7. I'll put that up on the screen, help people visualize it. So these properties in particular would abut our property. And the biggest issue that we see is with our well house. So our neighborhood has a joint well house. Not every property has their own well. We have a centralized well house that feeds all the properties. And that well house is going to be right in back of probably lot 6 or lot 7. I don't remember exactly which one. And the issue we have every summer is that well runs dry, a couple times a summer. And we're worried with this increase in water usage in that area. This is going to become a problem for us.
How deep is the well?
It's a good question. 400 feet.
400? McKinney do it?
Yeah. Well, McKinney didn't build it, McKinney
Maintains it? You know what the capacity is now? I mean,
we have 2 cistern tanks. I think they're 1,500 each.
the well just feeds into those?
Yeah, I don't know what the flow rate is, but the well is about 100 yards deep into the woods from the well house. Like I said, approximately 400 feet deep. And it fills, when it's filling, I think it fills at about, it's a variable rate, but about 6 gallons a minute. That's because we've got 3,000 gallon storage capacity that will, depending on the time of year, take hours to fill when empty.
How many houses does it service?
8, well, 7 actually, 7. And it's all right there, so all 7 of our houses drawing water from the table just south of where you guys want to put 9 houses.
Yeah. I mean, 6 GPM is usually the flow rate for one house.
Right, that's why we have
Yeah.
the storage.
But we'll try to find out some more information on groundwater in the area.
Yeah, I mean, Christopher, 10 Red Oak Drive, I would like to understand, I don't know what would the impact be of those 9 houses with septics now filtering through the ground on the water that we then are collecting into our tank.
Well, ordinarily, you know, the septic discharges into the soil. Usually, most of the wells that are drilled or the older ones that were driven, they're in a rock layer that's totally separate from the superficial water. So like we talk about septic systems being above the groundwater, you know, 3 feet or 4 feet. But technically, that's not the same groundwater you're drawing your well water from. Or it's 2 separate regimes. So like it's funny, where I live, my well's about 600 feet deep. And I go down the street and there's a guy that's got 120 feet deep. He gets 200 gallons a minute in his well. I was lucky to get 5, but it's a whole, I'm in a rock layer, and I think the water comes from New Hampshire and flows into Mass where I live. But that's different than the superficial soils where the septic is. So the septics won't affect the well unless you're right on top of it and it hits the casing and follows it down. But
Yeah, well, that'll be right on the surface.
no, it's not.
You showed that topography where at the top of the road, it's going up. But then everything else there is downhill towards our neighborhood. It's a quality of that.
I don't think it goes towards your neighborhood. Just a
It
second.
does.
No.
So our well, if you need me to point it out,
I just got to get rid of something. Just going to go back to the beginning.
I'm sorry?
All right, can I ask, perhaps maybe if we're going to reference the, the,
Got to make sure everybody can hear what everyone's saying.
Yeah. and I guess if you're going to ask, like, I don't know who you are.
Sebastian Markowitz, 12 Red Oak Drive.
Okay.
These lot lines are
Right.
400 feet and 312 feet.
Yeah.
They're like way
Does anybody have a laser pointer or?
I do not have a list.
So if you can see where the 8 properties on Red Oak Drive start on the left, okay? 1, 2, 3. Our well is behind the 3rd property, but it's 100 yards past the property line onto that section of property is common acreage that was done back when they built the Red Oak neighborhood to allow them to give us smaller individual lots. So they gave us approximately 22 acres of common land, so it carried out the minimum acreage per unit. And so that well, our common well, is on the common land out at what would be near the property line of that,
How far did you say it was from the property line?
about 100 yards. No, from your property line?
Yes.
Oh, it's not much, it's probably right here. I'm saying it's 100 yards from the individual's property
Oh,
line.
it's 100 yards towards our project.
Yes,
Okay.
it's right almost on the line, and it's feeding 7 of the 8 houses on that street.
The lot line at the end, see the last lot in the cul-de-sac there, right at
This
the end?
one?
That lot line is 300 feet long. Okay, so that's 100 yards. Okay?
Yeah, so it's.
So it's not even,
It's about right now, because from the last property line, individual property line, to the common property line, that is a longer line than the line you just pointed
Can
to.
you change the map view to the big piece of that?
Yeah.
Please, so we can.
Can
Can you enlarge this map?
you have a larger version of that?
No, I think Victoria can enlarge it for us.
All right, while we're waiting for that, could I just ask a question? I mean, just to maybe summarize what your concerns are, and if it's not a correct summary, say so. All right, you're concerned about the fact that perhaps the water being drawn out of the ground is going to impact.
The nine additional
All right.
houses drawing ground.
And then there was an additional idea that maybe I think was addressed, was the idea that, you know, if there were the septic tanks for,
Right, because
perhaps.
this is a downhill slope.
Right.
This is all gully. This line right here, it's a gully.
But the water flows south.
It flows, actually, the stream from wetlands up there
Yes,
flows here
Yes.
onto the golf course.
that's right.
This year, the beaver pulled it down with it. I don't know if you're aware of that or not.
I am not.
They don't know where the lines for them ends and start. So if they want to expand and they're going to flood all that area, that's going to be a problem on its own. Okay?
That's got nothing to do with the wells.
It does, because all this is going down the hill. So all the septic, as they pointed out, is going to flow down to this gully. And our well is right here.
The septics are regulated by the state. Once the water goes through 5 feet of soil, there's nothing left.
You can drink.
Yeah,
Okay? I'm not an expert, so I take
I
the
mean,
word for it.
that's the state rules on septic.
But our concern is, by you tapping into our water table, nobody will have water.
That's not true either, I don't think. But I'm going to talk to McKinney because they know this area real well and find out. The ordinary flow rate, I mean, you're getting 6 gallons a minute, but you're having problems filling up 3,000-gallon tanks. But if every one of these houses in this 9-lot subdivision had 5 or 6 minute flow rate, it's not going to affect your well. Just as,
Really, they're gonna draw away from me.
If they're gonna reduce the capacity of the aquifer it's drawing from,
they won't,
because
Can you guarantee that?
at 9 houses is more than the number of houses it's already feeding. So if it already
But it's not-
struggles,
but-
it already struggles in
All
the
right,
summer.
let's one at a time. You know,
If it
finish your
already
point, let him
struggles in the
respond.
summer with 7 houses, and now you add 9 houses. So even if it feeds at 6 gallons a minute during the summer at a slow period, and you cut it in half,
but that's not the way it works.
Can you guarantee it?
can you, well,
Or you're gonna
Well-
provide me with the tanks of water every time I run out?
No, but
All right,
what I'm gonna do is
let
look
him
into it and
explain,
get
please.
Good answers for you before the next hearing.
Okay.
So it would not off the cuff, it'll just be proper answers.
All right, so there were two concerns that were articulated, that, you know, flow rate of water, whether or not these wells drawing are going to affect the abutting wells, and then there's a question of you know, septic. All right, so
Can we go on that property and locate the well?
Yeah.
No problem with that, okay.
Well, you're supposed to have no trespassing, but we're allowed. It's okay. So
Good.
you can verify.
So at least we know where it is.
Yes.
Okay.
Just don't put antlers on your head when you're going out.
yeah, if you need, I can give you my contact information.
Would you do that?
Where it is.
Okay.
are there any other comments from the public with respect to this public hearing? Someone else? Okay.
Aaron Tilton, One Country Club Lane. I wanted to ask about the roadway itself, coming off Newton Road. Clearly, it's gonna go uphill, and then there's a significant dip down, like the folks from Red Oak were talking about.
Yeah.
And you gave us numbers prior, what the, expected drainage is gonna be. Is there any surface being taken out? Are you leveling out that land and bringing that land down lower for a road, or is it gonna be a real steep decline
No, that,
coming behind my property on One Country Club?
well, we're not down that far. Just one second. Just gonna get the profile on here. I don't know if you can see that, see the dotted line? The dotted or the dashed line on that plan is the existing grade, and the heavier line is proposed grade. So Our grade,
Where's the road? Where's Newton Road?
Newton Road is on the left-hand side, right where that, you see there's some writing there. One of them says it's the edge of existing pavement on Newton is where it starts. So then it goes at a 2% grade and then up at 5.9% until it gets to about station 400, I think. But that's as steep as the road is 5.9%.
So you're taking a significant amount
Off the top of the
land off that center hump right there.
Yes,
And on the opposite side of that, there's also wetlands as well.
yeah,
So that's gonna, so my concern again is gonna be, where is all that water going? On one side of the road to the other?
oh, okay, just a second. Yeah, if you, see what DP8 is there? If you just go into the road from there, that's the top of the hill right in there, right? So the water flows down both sides of the street. It flows towards the entrance on both sides of the street, and then it flows back down to,
In between DP2 and DP8, right in between there up top, that's the highest, that's one of the highest points where you put in the road.
yes, that's,
And right where DP8 is, there is significant wetland with,
no,
that's noted on there, on the, you know, on the documentation that's in the town.
no. Not at that knoll, there isn't wetlands, no. There is wetlands farther
That
along.
ballpark there is.
What?
Right in the ballpark of that area, there's wetlands.
Yeah, there is
That-
wetlands.
Where that road starts to turn, there's wetlands.
Yeah, they're shown on the plan.
So where is all that water going? Because now,
a good-
currently it's not, it goes down and it feeds towards Red Oak.
That
That's
feeds
clearly
north.
not, that's gonna clearly feed towards Country Club at that point, correct?
Where the wetlands is, there's a certain area up there that contributes and water goes north. None of the water from the roadway is going to go north. It's all going to go south.
And south means towards Country Club Lane, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
So that's a major concern of mine. You know, we've got wells right there, very close to the property lines now existing. Our septics are in the front, and it's all straight down. If you take a look at DP2, you're talking about putting in a retention pond very close to the property line.
Yep,
That's currently marked on the documents prior as a drainage easement,
yep.
right in that area. Is there a pipe running from that road down into that pond?
Yes,
And the same as DP3, which abuts the left-hand corner of my property.
that's correct.
That's standing water now. How close to that property line are all those lines there? That looks like it's within 15 feet maybe?
Yeah, it's a good number, yeah.
And how far is that retention pond that you're gonna build? What's the setback from our property line on Country Club Lane?
25 feet,
So it's basically right on the property.
yes.
So you're gonna be, how deep is this detention pond? How many inches of water are you gonna be containing in that? Because that, you know, we've got kids in the neighborhood.
Yeah,
That's gonna be a significant concern. Are they gonna be jumping into the pond?
well, there's no water in the pond when the storm's over. So it's just water in the pond during the storm. I'd have to check the calculations to see how deep it gets for each storm, but, you know, there's going to be a foot and a half anyway. Yeah.
And is there swale, I see it's noted at the bottom of the document that there's swales. Where, are there swales around those detention ponds?
There are not, no. There's swales alongside the road, and there's a drainage swale up, farther up the project, up on lot, I think 4. But not on these lots, no.
Just a question. With respect to, again, the retention ponds that you have, that, are there calculations that consider the potential impact to, let's say, a septic or a leach field, let's say, of the abutting properties? I mean, is that contemplated? That, I mean, it's not contemplated?
No, with stormwater management, what we try to do is have less of a peak flow rate to the neighbors than it presently has. And that's what our calculations show, is that there's going to be a substantial reduction in
All right, so when
peak
you
rate of flow.
so
onto
when
that
you
property.
say there's a reduction, so I mean, I'm thinking that your concern was that somehow there was going to be water that's going to go into the retention pond, and it was going to then, let's say, impact, let's say, your septic or your leach field or something, abutting your property. But you're saying that the remediation that these retention ponds are a part of is actually going to lessen the impact
Yes,
of water, let's say, if they weren't there.
that's correct.
Okay.
Is there going to be standing water in these ponds?
No. No, but there will be water during a storm.
As far as property 5 on Country Club, and as well as mine, I'm number 1. 5 Country Club, that well has to be 25 feet to the property line. And mine is probably within 30 feet or so or less of the property line here you're proposing.
Okay.
And that's very close to where you're going to be digging these detention ponds. What impact is that going to have on my well? And what assurance can I get from your engineers and developers that that's not going to impact?
If you could provide me with, do you have any information on your well? When they drilled it, usually when you put in a well, there's a steel casing goes down to the bedrock. So you're not drawing your water from the soil. Casing goes in and they drill into the bedrock until they get a decent flow rate.
The town doesn't have record of my house being built, or the only thing they have is our septic system.
Who services your well?
McKinney.
Okay, McKinney might know. So we could find out. But ordinarily, today most wells are 500 feet deep. The soil on the surface has got nothing to do with what, as a matter of fact, the reason the casing goes in is to protect you from any superficial water going into the well. So what you want to do is be draining or getting your water from the bedrock, which is ordinarily now with drilled wells, they're all 500 feet deep. When they used to just pound them, they might have been shallower if they got a better flow rate. But you need a minimum of 5 gallons a minute. But I would guess you're several hundred feet down. That's where the layer of water is you're drawing from.
Yeah, we should probably find out, because your house was built like 10 years before mine, so maybe even longer, so you can check.
What year was that?
1980.
Oh, okay. So if McKinney services you well, he's got records of it. So
I would like to.
If you don't, is it all right if we talk to McKinney about the properties on Country Club?
Please do.
Okay.
As far as the swale piece, I volunteer in town. I'm a baseball coach. I'm well aware of the water issues on our baseball fields down at Park. And Park is surrounded by swales. When those swales back up, it's the town's responsibility to clear those swales. And as a board member with Plastow Baseball, we've had numerous talks with town about resolving the issues when those swales are not being serviced. And that is a significant concern that I have. Those swales overflow, everybody's property here is going to be impacted, and that's something that we're going to demand that there's that the town is going to take care of it. Number one, and two is that the taxpayer dollars that's going to be used to approve these 9 lots to maintain the swales and roads. Is that an additional taxpayer concern that everybody in town needs to be worried about? Thank you.
So, Bob Bradford, 2 Country Club Lane. I have a question on the DPs 1, 2, and 3 primarily, those are probably within 300 feet of the end of the road. How much percentage of, by the road, I mean Newton Road, how much percentage of the roadway that you propose, Lucas Lane or whatever it is, water is going to be going into DP 1, 2, and 3?
How much water from the road?
Yeah, you have.
Yeah, well,
You have 3 loaded at the end.
yeah, all of those, that whole section of roadway will be going into those detention ponds.
To where it curves, but when you extend left, you have drainage easements, south of the road, and it goes on to your next chart. So how far that road is also going into DP3, DP2, DP1.
Okay.
Kind of like the Rockies.
Yeah, if you look at-
stuff in the Pacific, you get stuff in the Gulf of Mexico.
If you
This
look
is the
at,
diagram.
if you look in the middle of the drawing, you'll see a rectangle that's shaded in dark and kind of a driveway that goes to the road.
No.
That's,
Which one is it? So you got P4.
yeah.
It's right in the line. Bob.
See that line right there?
See
Yeah.
see the line here?
Oh, that line right there?
Yeah.
Okay,
So
that's-
the hill, and that's flowing back, yes.
Okay. Approximately how many feet is that from the end of the road? And also on your grid scale, how far apart are the feet on that? When you do the elevation, how far apart is that scale?
How far apart are the feet?
Yeah, each grid line should
Oh,
probably
they're
represent.
2 feet, yeah,
How many feet?
2 feet.
No, what I'm saying is, you do the length of the road, right? Yeah, this.
Right.
How far are these? And what I'm doing is I'm pointing to these.
They're 50 feet, 50 feet.
0, 1, 2, 3.
See, 500, 5 plus 0 is 500 feet.
Okay. Okay, 5, all right, so those are, so go back up a second. So they're 50 feet.
What's that?
So they're 50 feet.
Yes.
Okay.
But the vertical scale is different, just so you understand.
Right, vertical scale is.
5 feet.
5 feet, right. All right, so I was just trying to figure out how far down the road, how much percentage, how much is going to slow down. I'm sure your fancy software figures that all out.
I figure it out and put it in the software to calculate it.
Mine's a bit better from mine.
Right?
So, okay. So that way we can look and see, what the percentage is. And then you've got DP, what was it, 4, the big retention pond? Is that DP 4?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. So that's going to be a much bigger pond,
Yes.
but you say that's only going to be filled during the rainstorms.
All of them are, yes.
How long after the rainfall you expect to dissipate and be completely dry? Because we have a problem with mosquitoes around here, and we're going to add more places for mosquitoes to breed if those ponds do not drain.
Yeah, that big pond near DP4, that's an infiltration basin, so the water goes in the ground as well as discharge out through a pipe. So, you're looking at the 100-year storm that we calculate for is a 24-hour storm, right? So obviously, if it's raining for 24 hours, it's going to be there. There's going to be some water in the pond for 24 hours. And then it'll drain out within a couple hours after that.
Okay. Those are my questions on the drainage, so we don't expect to see koi fish up there and,
No, hope not.
okay. All right, thanks.
Are there any other questions?
Scott Hebert, 7 Country Club Lane. On this DP3 drainage swale, to the left, I live to the left of that. I have a drainage easement there coming from the wetlands. Now, how's that going to affect, which is already, if you went out there now, it's that drainage swale, the drainage easement has water in it right now. How's that going to affect the drainage easement on my property?
You have an easement on your property?
Yeah, I
Yeah, I wasn't aware of that. I'd have to look into that.
Yeah, I have a drainage easement that comes from the wetlands. It runs in between 5 and 7 Country Club Lane, goes under the road into the brook across the street.
How many lots in this? 7?
So it would be 1, 2, 3, and,
It's not Country Club Estates. It's public record.
so we got, what's it, so we're on this side. So that's Aaron, Page,
You know those numbers off by chance?
1, 5, and 7, yeah. So, yeah, and it runs under the
This
street.
is you 7?
Yeah.
Do all those properties have
Right, yeah,
the
I can show
easement?
you on this actually even better, yeah. So if you look here, so you have, that's on the property line right here. That's on Page, whose property's underwater as it is. And this is the wetlands. I have an easement that comes right along and goes right through the 2 of our properties. And it goes under the country
What's the
club lane.
purpose of this? Here's the easement right there, the tax map and number, if you'd like to review it.
It's an easement to nowhere.
No, it goes under the road. And it drains into, what's that little, we have your,
So between 1 and, Margaret, I forget, between 1 and 3 Country Club Lane,
He's got an easement
There's
across
also
from
a
7 Country Club.
and it goes between,
It
it
goes
goes
on the
under.
other side of the road.
right down
2 and 4,
and then under the road.
Can you get that to Jamie?
and 6, and that goes right down, so it's right next to my shed, basically.
And I brought that to
So this is probably something that needs to be considered if there are existing easements of some kind for your plan.
We have to look at that for sure.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
Because I guess my concern would be that it's just not that one easement. You
Right.
know what I'm saying?
No, it
Yeah.
runs under, that's why.
No, there's several there, yeah.
So I just wanna, no, I don't get water in my basement now. I just wanna make sure that,
All right, can we, just for purposes of the meeting, can we not have
Can we not have
conversation?
side conversations, please? Thank you.
yeah, so we have that and there's standing water that comes from the wetland already. And you're gonna drain P3, that water, I get it, it's a catch basin, you wanna call it. It's gonna drain somewhere, right? It's not just gonna sit there and evaporate.
I know all you guys are worried about
Yeah.
that, but what Phil is saying, that the design of this project in these catch basins is gonna be less flow when we're done than it is now. So,
Well, my concern is, that's a 15-foot easement for the town of Plastow, right? It runs under the road. They don't maintain that now, so who's gonna maintain, and they're gonna maintain the 3 that you wanna put in? I highly doubt it.
well, I can't,
No, I'm just saying,
To the town of
that's just
Plastow.
my, you know what I mean? My front yard has water in it now, her whole front yard has water because of that. You know what I mean? And we're gonna add more water to it.
we're not gonna add more water to it. It's
So it's
gonna
gotta
be,
drain somewhere.
it's gonna be
Well,
less.
just for purposes of conversation, there are a couple things going on here. One, it sounds like you're talking about there's no swale maintenance of some kind.
Yeah.
Right, that's not on the applicant right here. If that's a question of the town, then that's probably something that should
So,
be
yeah, and-
brought to
but
the town's
the-
attention.
Yeah, and the wetlands drain into that 15-foot easement, so are they gonna have, that water's coming downhill, right? You're gonna take away trees that's not absorbing the water,
It's coming,
you know?
it's,
So I'm just.
Oh, no,
that's my
no.
concern.
what Phil was trying to say is that the calculations and that the way we have to do things is that the less amount of water coming than what's coming today. By a little bit, on every, for one of those catch basins.
It all looks good on paper, that's, you know what I mean?
All right.
Thank
Is there any other questions?
I just have one quick.
All right, please, just state your name and your address, please.
Oh, absolutely. Elizabeth Tilton, 1 Country Club Lane. So mine's more of an aesthetic question. We are abutting right now 1 Country Club Lane, that's the country club. I'm trying to find out if you're gonna cut down all our trees, so we're gonna have no, barrier for anybody that's moving in, because when you came in, or whoever came in, Y'all knocked down a bunch of trees in my backyard. There was like a backhoe, there was stuff being knocked down on the land, not ours. But I noticed there's a lot of trees that were knocked down. My concern is you're gonna knock down all those trees and then we're not gonna have a barrier from our property to your property. And I'd like to know how many trees you're gonna be keeping up, so we know that there is some type of variance or whatever that not there is.
Are you right on the corner there?
We're One Country Club Lane, we're the yellow house right when you pull down the street,
Okay.
on the, right.
Yep.
Well, I guess I can say for sure, I'm not gonna cut down any trees on your property.
Not on my property, I'm asking how many trees are gonna be left up,
How many?
so I have some type of, like, so we know what we're looking at this point, because right now, with all the trees that you guys have already knocked down, there's not many left, and I'd like to know how much we're gonna have.
I don't know.
That's not, okay, so you don't have the answer for that question. Okay. Well, that's not helpful, is it?
There we go. Todd Randall, 9 Country Club Lane. I was just wondering, has the applicant done any kind of like wildlife resource surveys there?
It's coming.
Okay.
We find the wetlands application and approval process.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because I'm in 9 Country Club Lane and I didn't build it, unfortunately. I have an in-ground pool and we get inundated with a bunch of salamanders. So I put a bunch of pit traps around my pool over the last decade that I've lived there. And seen a lot of spotted, but I have seen a marbled salamander or two, which you can look that up. It's an endangered species. So just be aware that you know, those things might be out there. So it'd be interesting to see what comes of your resources.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that hasn't spoken that wants to speak before?
I have a follow-up question too. You said there was a 256-page report that you didn't have a chance to read yet. I can get a copy of that. That was on the, that was all the calculations.
So that's the
drainage.
flow analysis, right?
Drainage analysis.
Drainage
Yeah, there's
analysis.
I sent Dee a PDF of that.
Yeah, we can ask Dee to put that online.
Put it online so we can
no
all see it,
problem.
yeah. Unlike Congress, I do like to look through stuff.
Anyone else? Right.
Can I summarize our requests to see if we've missed anything?
Please.
All right. So I am interested in total added impervious surface. So we took that note down. We're all interested in the swale maintenance responsibility. Wildlife survey, you said that would be done, so we'd love to see that. And then a new visual with the, where you're going to be cutting trees, where you're going to be preserving the trees, the size of the homes and their setbacks and positioning on the lots, and then abutting infrastructure. I think that would look nice on just one sheet, and that would be easy to read.
Yeah, to notate like where the septic wells are gonna be.
Yeah.
Abutting properties and where you're planning on putting the other ones in.
Want to probably put a note on there that the size of the house is subject to change, someone comes along and wants a bigger or a smaller.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna accommodate the customer if the opportunity comes along.
Okay.
Was there also concern about the drainage easements, the locations of
Yes,
drainage?
yeah.
Has to be looked at, because you said you weren't aware of the one. So you have
Yes.
to go back and look at that, so that double check all the drainage easements.
We'll check on that well on the other side too.
Yes. And then drainage report will go online.
And the wells on Country Club Lane, we were going to check on. too.
Correct.
See what we
See
could
where
find
those
out.
are, and you were gonna talk to McKinney on the depths and. see what
Because,
information.
some conversation
You
about.
might have it in your own offices somewhere.
Possible.
Yeah, but we also have one person that works in our office. So she doesn't get paid as much as you. Not me.
Maybe it was just covered in that, but I think there was concern about potential impact on the abutting community well, whether or not the fighting for the resources would impact the.
Yes, the Red Oak Drive well.
So, and then maybe like some sort of discussion on septic runoff, in the sense that, I mean, I know you went over it, a bit with respect to surface water versus, where the wells are drawing the water. But again, just, maybe sort of an academic response to that.
Okay.
I saw a hand in the back. Was there any? No?
Well, just one, that runoff, I understand
Okay.
it's not going to our well water, but how it's gonna affect the stream that is there and all the environment that is there,
Okay.
potentially, on the septic runoffs.
All right, a couple of things. I think you had septic runoff with respect to the impact of maybe, well water, and I know that, that's sort of an academic response. And I guess I think what you said, that goes into the flow analysis, I think. And I think you addressed that in the sense that you have to calculate whatever runoff can't have more of an impact than is currently existing.
Yes.
Right, and I think that's been addressed, but I think, just for the point of reiterating it, if you have a comment on what, then okay, all right. So at this point, we close the public hearing and then.
Yeah, I want to continue it.
Continue it,
Yeah,
yes,
sorry.
continue it to,
May 15th, is that our next?
yes.
What'd you say?
Yeah, just read the draft motion.
Over here. All right. Do you want me to just read it?
Yeah, just go ahead, because you're moving it.
All right. I move that the application for the 9-lot subdivision as noted in Planning Board Matter 24-04 be continued to May 15th, 2024, 6:30 PM. This is the official notice of the continuance, and there will be no additional written notification provided.
And there's a possibility we could have a site walk at 5 that day, right?
Yeah, and we're planning on having a potential site walk, 5 o'clock that day, to the meeting. And the residents or anyone else is invited.
Did you accept the plan?
The plan was accepted
We
as
accepted it as
complete.
complete.
Yep.
Yeah.
You did,
It's-
okay.
It's been continued. It is easier to schedule the walk online so that we don't have to notify
Okay.
for it. So if you want to make it official.
Make it official that we're going to.
So give it
schedule
a date and a time and a location.
Okay.
And if it changes, we make a change.
Can we also make sure that the public can come on the site visit on the time allotted, an hour before the next meeting, but not like any day of the week?
Right, it would just be the time we're talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
Just be that one.
All right.
Just at 5 o'clock on the
That's fine.
15th.
I just don't.
All right, so
Yeah.
for purposes of sidewalk, it'd be on May 15th, 5 o'clock. Do we need to just indicate that? How am I going to specify where it's going to be?
Where's the best place to meet?
Yeah, where are you meeting?
Yeah, there's a room for a few cars off the edge of 108 at the entrance of the project. Maybe 4 or 5. I think we had 4 or 5 cars that are.
Can we park on Country Club?
We're talking the street there.
Yeah, walk up.
All right. So here's the notice for the sidewalk. It's going to be 5 PM, May 15th, from 5 to 6. And the public hearing then will commence on 6:30 on May
Is the best
15th.
place to meet then at the corner of, say, 108 and Country Club, and then walk from there?
Sure.
That way there we have a meeting point.
Okay.
But you go down the other street, because you're gonna go up the hill. From Country Road, that's just on this side. Well, from Red Oak.
Okay. So corner of 108 and
Yeah.
Country Road.
So
So
5 o'clock,
Is 1
May
hour
15th.
enough time? I mean, you're talking over 1,000 foot road. It's not easy.
It's
to
one
walk.
you never know, right?
It's not easy to walk, I'm telling you right now.
I think 1 hour should be sufficient to walk around.
Criteria,
Right. And if not, then, you know,
You can have another one.
we can have another one.
You can ask to have another one.
All right, so do we vote on the motion? I don't think we did.
No, once you say it, we're good, right?
Yep.
All right,
Yep.
I'll set that.
Yep, continue to.
Was there a second? Was there a vote?
There doesn't need to be a
on
vote
continuance?
for continuance.
You don't need a vote as long as
It's
he
in
just
his
says
power.
continuing it. Correct? Bill?
The language of it on the draft.
That's what we-
was written as-
that's what we usually do.
seconded.
Yeah.
So we're
Did
just
you end up
continuing.
voting for it? Or did you just?
Oh, usually just state it.
Yeah, because you reserved the right to continue.
You're continuing to May 15th.
Okay,
Cool.
all right.
well, I think.
Thank you.
We
Yeah.
probably,
Put it in there.
we probably
very
do
much.
want to make a motion to hold the sidewalk though.
What's that?
So we probably do want to make a motion to hold the sidewalk
Okay.
on May 15th at
The motion?
5 o'clock.
Would you like to make the motion, Tim?
I'm making it as I speak.
Right.
Yep, so the sidewalk at May 15th, 5 o'clock. I would say at Luke,
Oh, we're still continuing the
Luke's
meeting.
Way.
Excuse me.
and which is
still
the
online.
new subdivision road.
Yep.
And then people can park at Red Oak or Country Club or wherever.
And we're gonna meet at the corner of 108 and Country Club.
I second the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained? 500.
So everyone at 5 o'clock on the 15th, May.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Hope to see you 21st Pete.
This one.
Next on the itinerary, top master plan chapter. Victoria, is that you?
Yeah. One second. Let me make sure I got everything down so I don't lose track of stuff.
That jacket. I'll get some extras.
Operator's report on fees. Anything else?
What's that?
I think so.
Applicant is aware
It'd be interesting to see it.
requests.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wearing the rubber boots.
Yes.
All right.
I always forget to put the sheet under the door, so I needed to get it out of the way. Yeah, did you guys have a chance to look at the master plan drafts? Did you have any comments? I don't have any prompting questions.
Do you have something you can display online, or, I mean, just, you know,
Well, you had it printed out at the last meeting.
I don't have the printout with me right now. But, I mean, if it's,
I've read it. I think my view, I think it's fine.
Yeah.
You had suggested because the master plan is in landscape.
Yeah.
I think when you orient it, I think the ads would be a couple of pictures of housing.
Yeah.
And I think it fits, I kind of played around with it myself, but I think some pictures of housing, preferably like Plastow housing, I think works, and we could probably put a bow on it.
I mean, at this point, I think that whatever aesthetic, aesthetic finishing that you want to put on it is, you have license, I would think.
The substance is okay?
I believe so.
Or, I mean, you can be honest, if you didn't look at it, we can talk about it next time.
Like I said, I mean, if you want to, can we pull it up? Just,
Yeah.
Did you do the audit yet?
So that's gonna be for the next meeting, I believe. I've been
Okay.
talking with Jen Rowden, and
Okay.
she's doing final reviews of that.
And that'll wrap it up, right?
And
For
that'll be it.
the HOP grant,
Yeah.
all our things that we had to do.
What do we have to do what's the deliverable? Is it the piece of the master plan? Is it
The
some
the
other
housing
report?
chapter of the master plan.
Is that the deliverable?
Yep, and the land use regulation audit.
Okay.
But if we wanted more money, I think we would have to do something with zoning. So we don't want any more money. They can keep it.
We always want money.
No, we don't want it.
Well, the next step in the HOP grant would be to actually institute the changes.
Yeah.
And to draft zoning revisions. They won't give you more money unless you do some changes.
Yeah. Which, as you can see from tonight, people don't want more houses in Plastow.
No, but everyone's gonna be real sad when their 40-year-old child is living in their basement.
well, I think that's sort of the challenge. You can't square the circle. You can't say that you want housing and then oppose housing simultaneously.
Yeah.
So,
Well, someone's gonna have to feed me my gruel at some point, when I can't chew anymore.
I guess that's fair. I mean, my family, they all live together.
My mother lives with me, so.
Yeah. My uncle's actually getting married.
And my mother
They're
helped my
moving her
daughter
into
with
the
a down
basement.
payment, so they got their own place. She has a duplex, and now my
Yeah.
granddaughter lives on the other side.
That's the way it always goes though, right? It's like generational. Everyone helps everyone. That's
Yeah.
just, that's the way families work.
All right. Here it is. Yeah, I can make it cuter.
So does this fit into the format that we already have for the master plan?
Not currently, but I can make it so if it was everyone's intention to just sandwich it right in there. And I'm not sure if you guys wanted to keep the current housing master plan chapter in there. It's not old, it just doesn't have doesn't have a lot of substance.
Well, not if you did this.
Okay,
right?
so we would
Yeah.
cut and
I mean,
replace.
how does everybody else feel? Wouldn't we just do this new one? We wouldn't keep the other one?
No. I started to compare the old and the new chapters to, and I didn't get very far.
Yeah.
But, so we want to make sure we're not throwing something out that we think we need in the old.
So you're saying we might just kind of combine them all? Piece from this, piece from that,
Yeah.
just to make sure we cover it all?
I don't think we have enough
combine.
funds left for that.
Yeah, I think most of the information that's in the chapter that Victoria and the RPC worked on, I think pretty much is going to replace the existing chapter.
so you're saying you want to just do a quick look to see if there's
Right.
anything
Blaring.
you don't want thrown out?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All right.
So,
I took a stab at that just because I didn't know anything. And I can send you what kind of I thought, you know, from the old that should keep and as well as the new.
Yeah.
I mean, but recognizing I don't have the history or the background, you know, I just kind of looked at it from a logic standpoint.
If you love editing, then you could wrap this up.
Hey, you gave me an assignment to look at it, I looked at it. Now, that's all I did. Now, if you give me a task, I'll do it.
No, happy to do it, but yes, also if you wanted it to be done for free.
So I guess I would propose that we talk about all the comments that we have at the next work session, and whatever the June or May, rather.
Don't wish a month away. Don't wish that month of May away. That's
Yeah. So do that at the May work session, and then schedule the public hearing to adopt the housing chapter for the, whatever the May 15th. We just talked about that date. Then at very long last, we can
Put it to bed.
be done with the housing chapter. It's a good accomplishment.
So provide whatever analysis that we want by the next work session, and then on the 15th of May, adopt it and have it done.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, I'm assuming we don't probably not have too many changes or things that we want to do differently. It's,
Do we have anything in the pipeline for the next public hearing besides the country club?
For the next work session or for the
No,
next
public hearing?
I don't know of anything. Just,
All right. So
I don't know, that's a lot to do in that meeting, especially when so much of the public is interested in not housing, but in the subdivision.
we'd just be adopting what changes we did at the
Yeah, I
the
guess
work
so.
session.
If you intend on that public hearing to be quick to adopt the chapter, then that's a non-issue.
All right. I think we
We have
should do
until
that.
July,
I
so I
think it
just
would
don't.
be better to schedule it, and then if we can't, we can always continue it.
yeah, I agree.
yeah, actually, maybe it's better to schedule the public hearing on the June work session. Then we avoid the possible,
Well, the 15th is going to be a long meeting, right? Because it's going to start at 5 o'clock.
That's also true.
June's looking more attractive.
yeah.
Let's make a deal.
So would that be at the June
Workshop.
5th workshop?
Yeah.
Whatever the first Wednesday.
The
in
first
June.
Wednesday in June.
That's the 5th.
Yeah.
All right. So for the next workshop meeting, you guys are gonna have lots of comments for me. Do you want me to make any of the edits now for next meeting? Like add the pictures and change the orientation and,
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be good.
but I'm not changing any of the substance, just the visual. Okay. And then the next meeting, we can talk more about substance. And we'll talk about the land use regulation audit. Hopefully.
Sounds like a plan.
Cool. And then that's May 1st. Then May 15th, we have the subdivision. And then June 5th, we'll have we'll finalize the master plan and vote on that.
Yeah.
That's what we're thinking.
Yeah.
All right. So next.
The subdivision, that's ready for a vote, right?
It depends on what they give us at the next
Yeah.
meeting. 'Cause-
No, I'm sorry. I was talking about the stormwaters, you know, taking the taking what we were taking out of the zoning ordinance and putting it in the site plan regulations. Do we have to vote on that?
We did, didn't we already do that?
Yeah, we already did that.
We did that. Yeah, that's out of the way.
That's all done.
Yep.
Okay.
I know, I'm so sorry that you missed out on the whole thing.
No.
It was really great. We had a lot of fun. Okay.
All right,
We got so
so
much done.
review of planning board rules and regulations. Is that something that we could have in a Word? That's in a Word document somewhere, right? I know.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
All right.
it better
Just
be.
Google search.
Yeah.
All right.
And you'll
So-
find it. It's online.
So everyone should be kind of prepared, I think, next workshop to be able to kind of propose some ideas or to kind of review it. And, you know, if they have some ideas of what they want to add to it, maybe I'll bounce one off people here. What do you think about the idea of having, for lack of right terminology, a subcommittee or something set up, maybe comprised of 1 or 2 people, board members, where proposed zoning amendments or such that are in the pipeline are contemporaneously funneled to those individuals, you know, just so that they, you know, have the who, what, when, where, and why. And then it'd be something that they would report to the planning board when the planning board meets. All right. So, I mean, if they did meet and there was something there, then you have questions of whether or not, you know, there's a meeting and you got to take minutes. That shouldn't be a big deal.
You can't have more than 2 though, or it's a meeting,
Right.
right? So
But
it's
even,
gotta
but
be-
even if you did, I mean, but I'm just saying that if you had something where there was a point of contact that if something's coming in intake-wise or being talked, then there's a contact on the planning board that knows about it contemporaneously, so that we know what's coming in the pipeline. We don't have a situation where you have like a bunch of amendments at the end of the year. We've at least talked about it. We're cognizant of it.
No, the sooner you can get the amendments
Yeah.
out of the way, the better, right? I don't care if you get 2 of them done in say, August, that's great. That's 2 more you don't, and they're all set and ready to go.
It sounds like you want the committee to do like research and provide information. The committee's not making any recommendations, or the committee's not doing any voting.
No, the committee wouldn't be doing any voting.
So you'd just be this committee would just be bringing information to the board type thing, right?
Right. And I guess maybe, you know, whether or not, you know, someone had thoughts on it, like if you got it, you would know that it would be something. What I want to avoid is the euphemism of it's, you know, housekeeping or what. We should know the who, what, when, where, why this particular amendment or proposed amendment is coming before us, you know, so that, you know, we can look at it and you know, not just consider it at the end. So, and I would think that would just be in the procedures, that would just be established subcommittee of some
I'd
kind.
love to be sitting here in November and they're all done.
Well, I mean, you know, if it's something and it makes sense and it's ripe for consideration, then you know, then we put it on the schedule and we vote on it, right?
I'm hoping that the Conservation Commission revisits prime wetlands at our May meeting. And then I'm hoping both the Planning Board and Conservation Commission can meet jointly on the June 5th workshop to talk about prime wetlands.
And what would be good too is have a couple information nights too leading up to it. Would probably help.
Well, I don't know about before June 5th.
No, not before June 5th, I'm saying after.
But between then and voting, yeah.
Correct,
Yeah.
absolutely, couple information, then before you have another public
Yeah.
hearing. I think that would go a long way, education.
This is going to be a dumb question. Did the Conservation Commission already have a public hearing?
Last year.
Well, we had it last year, but then it didn't make it to the ballot. So, so we essentially have to start over.
You do, okay, because that was my,
Um,
because it has to, Conservation Commission has to have the public hearing, my understanding. And then it goes to the planning board.
Well, we
It's
can,
going to be a zoning ordinance,
Yeah.
correct?
the Conservation Commission can have the public hearing, which we did last year.
Right.
But the planning board can just as well have that same public hearing. It doesn't have to be done by the Conservation Commission. The planning board, so if it results in a change in zoning, then the planning board has to have a public hearing about the zoning change anyway. So, yeah, I think,
Yeah.
It kind of ran out of runway last year.
Because I had gone back and read the RSA and it seemed kind of murky. It seemed to me like it was a two-part process.
yeah,
Maybe it's just gobbledygook.
it's one of the more poorly written sections of the state RSAs.
That was kind of my view.
So what would be the logistics of that? And if we're going to hold a June meeting, would it be posted as being, or noticed as being a joint public hearing of the Conservation Commission and the Planning Board?
Yeah, I mean, we don't have to, there's no reason to have an official joint meeting. I mean, we can ask Concom members to come to our June workshop to discuss prime wetlands, and then whoever can make it, will make it. If you have a joint meeting, then you have to have a quorum of both boards.
So would you propose it being a planning board holds it, and then the Conservation Commission is in attendance?
Yeah, invited to come, yeah, that's
Okay.
probably a good way to put it.
Yeah, I know when we did the joint one last year with the selectmen and the budget committee, that was posted. We posted that one.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, we've done, planning board has done a joint meeting with the Atkinson Planning Board. We had a subdivision behind the high school that had Atkinson butters there. And we did one with Newton I forgot now what that subdivision was. So, it is possible, but what a joint meeting allows you to do is both boards get the same information and both boards can vote that night, or decide not vote.
No, I think it's a good idea to have a joint meeting.
But, like I say, if you have the joint meeting, then you're obligated to have a quorum. If we just, at this point, if we just invite the Conservation Commission to our June workshop, then whoever can come, can. And there's no problem with quorums, because you're not.
I would just be
advisory board
concerned
anyway, but
that I'd want the Conservation Commission, to kind of commit to showing up. Just given the fact that they're familiar with the issue and it just isn't, can provide that.
What about the consultant that did it? Would he,
I'm sorry?
the consultant?
Oh, the consultant, Mark West.
Or would we want him further down the road?
If we want him, I think, yeah, it would be further down the road, I think.
All right. Anything else from anyone? Any old business? New business?
I have some new business.
All right.
I sat down with Dee earlier this afternoon. She had updated the zoning ordinance with the changes that were made in March. And just to review, to make sure things didn't get overlooked or typos or whatever. And the agritourism article was proposed to be Article 7B. All of our districts and overlay districts are all defined in Article 5. So I think it makes more sense to have it in Article 5 than a separate article. So if, you know, again, I think that's a better place for it. And nothing, no changes in the text, just the section numbers are all that would change.
So where do you want it to be?
In Article 5, which is our districts, that's where we define industrial, the MDR, LDR, the C1 overlay district, the Danville
So you're just
Road
talking about where you want to file it in the, or locate it in the particular existing ordinance.
Yeah. So if we're defining another overlay district, it seems like it makes sense to have it in that same section of the ordinance.
So what would we have to do, I guess, is,
Nothing.
Okay, so it's just sort of, that's where it's going to end up.
Just where it's placed, I guess.
Okay.
Nothing changes, just where it's placed.
Right.
Yeah, everyone looks at me.
I was looking at Lori, the Pure Life water
No,
that
he's
she's
looking-
drinking.
They're looking at me.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Okay.
It was stuck in section 7 because that's the only thing I could figure out. And the numbering in the zoning ordinance is like, gives me a headache when I.
Yeah, you and me both.
Yeah, but I think that's fine.
Okay, yeah, so we'll plan on doing that.
Yep.
Then we should have zoning ordinance ready for everyone to have next meeting.
All right.
So you said Article 5?
Yeah.
Put it up on the screen too, so it would,
So you can take a look at it. Yeah, that's good.
So in the proposal that Dan made, the authority was section 220, 55.3. That would change to 32.1. And then all the rest of the sections would be 32, 2, 3, 4.
32. So would it go after these or before? The table 220, 32A.
Look at page 87.
Okay,
So yeah, after those.
after
I guess.
that. After this? After page 87.
So you want it before the residential conservation one?
No, continue, keep going forward, or higher pages.
Higher pages.
When it says the end, you've gotten there.
Yeah.
Oh, so it would it'd probably be after C3. I think C3 is the last one, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, okay.
So it'll be after the C3,
So you start with page 103 probably, it looks like.
after Karen's.
Okay, yeah.
So it'll just stay with all the other districts.
So before PRD.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
Anything else, Tim?
Nope, that's all I have.
Lori, anything?
No?
Dan?
Nope.
Good.
All right. Tim, just one thing, just in the back of your mind. I mean, I know last meeting we mentioned the potential for updating impact fees.
Yep.
You know, and that's time sensitive in the sense that we're considering. Well, you know, need a little bit of a runway on that if we were to do that. But just to play devil's advocate for a second, I mean, what would be the reason if we updated them just 2000 was it 2019? That rings a bell, kind of.
Yeah, I think so.
18,
Yeah.
19, right around then.
Close enough for discussion.
Okay. So is there logic for updating it again in 2024, 25, other than inflationary considerations?
Yeah,
Because I mean, it's about what, $20,000, $30,000
If we-
ballpark to do that.
So if you look at the public safety impact fee, there's two sections to it. One is kind of a combined police and fire, which was the building itself. So for the new safety complex, we're using the impact fees to help pay off the bond for the safety complex. And then there's a smaller, well, I think maybe 70-30, but don't hold me to those numbers. So 30% of the impact fee goes to purchasing fire apparatus and fire trucks. And so at the time that Bruce Mayberry did the impact fee, he based the at least the fire apparatus on numbers that we had in the capital in the cash flow diagrams. So those amounted to, I don't know, $1.5 million, something like that. And then, as you very well know, a couple of years ago, we found out that, son of a gun, one fire truck cost $1.5 million.
It's only gone up from there.
So, yeah. And if you're, projecting, which the impact fees do too, within the calculation, you project out over a number of years. So that a huge cost increase in that, which would mean the impact fee would go up and we'd collect more money. Recreation is, I don't know, I think that's going to be a kind of a tough one, maybe level or maybe a little less, because we've done all the major big improvements that we can. The commission still wants more ball fields, but you need the land to put them on, and they don't have the land.
Well, there's still a little bit over a park where you could build.
So, yeah, so there's, a little here and there. But, so depending on how all that calculation comes out, that might not amount to very much.
It's stuff
Or change.
You got the trails back there.
Yeah. So the one thing that you can't collect impact fees for sort of unknowns. So in the rec department, you can't collect impact fees based on, you might purchase a couple acres of land for $500,000, unless you have purchase a sale agreement or some really concrete thing where you're going to purchase land. That's fine. If that purchase doesn't come through, you end up having to refund developers, which, not only do you not want to do it, but after their development is done, they're gone. It's a really horrendous pain in the neck to try to get hold of people. So there's, again, I can't can't predict what would happen there, but, needs to be reviewed. And the school, a few years ago, the school didn't have much left on their bonds for the buildings, because they're all 25, 30 years old at this point. So that one I'm not sure about. We certainly got a hefty tax increase from the school department, based on, I don't know how they set aside or allocated a big chunk of money to do capital improvements. So I don't know how that would.
I guess, question-wise, I mean, $20,000, $30,000 potential, is there a return on investment on that? I mean, does it make sense to say that spend $20,000, $30,000 to reassess or update the impact fees? Is it de minimis, or are we looking at that, we should do this just from a safety complex perspective?
Yeah. I would say, for the safety complex, probably. The others, maybe not so much, but the other thing is, if you don't have the methodology updated reasonably frequently, then developers can challenge the amount that you charge them.
Victoria, do you know what a reasonable frequency entails, or?
I don't know anything about this.
Okay.
Sorry.
So I don't know. It's been a few years since we've done that. So my thought was, for 2024, we would try to get cost estimates to see how much it would cost to update the impact fees.
Yeah, that's what I'd be curious.
And then
how much it would cost.
Get that in the budget for 2025.
So we did them in 2019. When were they done before that?
I think quite a while before that.
So 5 years, 10 years?
And I'll tell you, the last 5 years, the way prices have gone up on
No,
everything,
that's-
it's off the hook the
that's
last
my-
5 years.
I'm not exactly sure, Dan, but between 5 and 10, I would say. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't.
So 5 wouldn't, if that's what we.
Yeah, but we'd be 2024, we'd be putting out a request for proposal.
Right.
And then we would have the information, and then we could then assess.
In 2020.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
2025.
so that's 6 years at that
Yeah,
point.
I think that makes sense.
So, so we're not committing to, so request for proposal, what's the mechanism for that? Or maybe we could do that for our, next meeting? Or just have that.
Yep, I
question
don't know
addressed.
exactly what the process is, but it's fairly standard kind of process.
I don't know, is there, Bruce Mayberry, you said he retired, right?
He has retired,
Yeah.
but I think his firm, I don't know, Mayberry and Associates or whatever the heck it might be, I think is still there.
It seems like when we did it this last time, there weren't a whole lot of people out there that were doing them.
No, it's not it's not an easy thing to do, because, and I mean, you go through all these calculations about what impact the new development has on the town. So, you get new commercial buildings, new residential buildings. It means more trips for the fire department, the police department, et cetera, et cetera. But then you have to also calculate that, all right, once the developer pays that impact fee, then business is established and they start paying property taxes because they're a business. So you can't, so you got to take their payment as property owners into consideration somehow. I don't know how all the figures work. So it's, it's not an easy An easy task.
So we want to probably just investigate the request for proposal process, and we could at least put that out and then you have the information, move forward.
That's the place to start.
Yep. All right. Anything else? Anyone? Last request?
I can ask
Communications updates.
RPC staff if they know of anyone doing them.
That would be good.
Yeah. 'Cause I don't think that we do.
I did have one. The last meeting, I think Tim had raised it, that you and Dee had actually started to put together an analysis of looking at the site plan regulations and subdivision regulations.
Oh, yep.
Yeah. Is that something we should probably, maybe want to take a look at?
Yeah, I think we agreed today we need to get that
Okay. Yeah.
started back. We actually finished like the phase one of the thing in 2019. And, you know, then I don't know what happened. I mean, everybody got busy, then the pandemic and
Yeah, I think
So-
because of COVID and stuff, right?
so, yeah. So what we need to do now is go through the thing again, just to, you know, review the draft. And we also made up a conversion sheet. So if you looked at Article 6.3 in the combined regulations, you would know where that came from in the old regulations.
It's like an exit sign thing now. You got the old exit, new
Yeah,
exit.
yeah, right, yeah, exactly. So that's, yeah, yeah, we're gonna check that too. So, yeah, I mean, see what happens, but I think we'll try to do that as we incorporate the stormwater stuff. So it'd be incentive to get through that and get that done.
All right, just to summarize that, that's an ongoing thing then? That's not necessarily ripe for, that you're looking to just incorporate stormwater, or is it just
Yeah.
job in progress?
If we feel that we can't get that done within a month or shortly thereafter, then we'll update the existing regs with the stormwater thing. We can't go with, you know, we're going to have 25 pieces of paper all the time.
Right. Cool beans. So in the interest of 9:00.
Yep, that's
Right.
cut off.
All right. So if no one has anything else, then I close this meeting of the Plastow Planning Board, April 17th at 9:03. Thank you.